Good evening, everyone. We're coming to you live on the internet with the first results in the Anchorage municipal election. We got the numbers just about within the last 5 minutes or so, and we're going to take a look at this first batch of numbers. Keep in mind, this is a vote by mail election. These numbers will be changing over the next few days, but here are the results that we have so far. Suzanne LaFrance is leading in the race for mayor with 36% of the votes received and counted so far. Dave Bronson, the incumbent, has 34%. Bill Popp trailing behind with 17%, and Chris Tuck is at 7% right now. We have our team of reporters and photographers, our photojournalists and reporters out in the field. We're going to go first to Rebecca Palsha, who is at the Dave Bronson election night headquarters. And Rebecca, if you can hear me, describe what's going on there. What's the reaction?
I got you, Mike. Yeah, Mike, the TV just got turned on to the right numbers now, so we're just now watching the results come down. Mayor Bronson's over to my left. Hi, sir. If we can grab you real fast. What do you think when you look at these numbers?
I think this is right what we expected. It'll be a tight race going in. I think I just looking at about 500 votes separated with about 19% reporting, so looks like it's going to be a runoff. We anticipated that, and we're very well prepared for a runoff.
And I guess you assumed it would be LaFrance at this point?
Yeah, we've always said it. I've said it in our campaign, in our debates, that it would be her. So that's what we've always been focused on that. So the numbers are coming in almost precisely what our model said. So.
And moving forward, are you going to change anything in the campaign to try to talk to voters from the other candidates?
Oh yeah, we think in Bill's group and in Chris's group, we've got some real natural allies in those camps. I think as we go for the next 4 or 5 weeks through the next campaign, we're going to make a distinction between Suzanne and myself. I've been kind of defined by my opponents for the last 3 years, and people are saying, well, why don't you get up and defend yourself? Well, I'm not going to get down in the mud and sling mud. I'm just going to do my job, which we did in the face of a lot of untruths that were said about us. We just keep pressing on. We're going to keep doing that, but as a campaign, I do have to tell the truth, and I'll explain the ideological differences between Suzanne and I, which are stark. In fact, I can't imagine a greater contrast between her and I in any two candidates. So we're well prepared. We've got a lot of money on hand, and we're going to raise more money, and I think we'll make a very good case. In fact, I know we'll make a very good case to the voters that we're appealing to in the next 5 or 6 weeks.
What do you think the untruths are that are being told about you?
Well, I think we'll leave that for another time. That's a lot of that's part of a very public lawsuit. That lawsuit was we've denied all those charges. And we can say that publicly. And we've got the documentation to prove that we were right. And we just never got down into the mud and fought that in public. It's just not good form. So in the next 5 weeks, we'll make the distinctions, and we'll tell the truth, the whole truth, and get that out there. So.
And last I looked, you had more money in the bank than LaFrance has. Was that strategic going into this, assuming you were having a runoff?
Yes. Yeah, that's our plan. We've always anticipated a runoff because of the dynamic, the many candidates, and we knew we'd get to that, and so we prepared for that. And so we're sitting. We've got the money we need. We definitely have the team that we need, and we're looking forward to prosecuting this campaign.
And moving forward, clearly that homelessness as well as snow removal has been a big topic during these campaigns. What is your message to the voters about those two things in particular that they want solved?
Well, Suzanne likes to pick on me for snow removal, and she says, and ultimately the mayor is responsible for everything that's under his or her watch, and I am, but as a matter of control, if she thinks as mayor she's going to come in and start creating snow plowing plans on her own, that's called micromanagement, and that's precisely the last thing we want. I don't do that. But if my directors come in and they want more money, more equipment, then I'll go to the assembly and we'll get those appropriations in the next budget cycle, and we'll be prepared for next winter. But 2 winters does not make a trend necessarily, because we have to remember since 2011 we haven't had much snow. In fact, I remember with my kids wondering if we're going to have snow for Christmas. And then all of a sudden, a year ago, we got a big storm, a couple big storms, and then 3 months ago we got a big storm, about 40 inches of very wet snow. And I think both mine and the governor's departments handled that as well as they could. And he and I took a lot of abuse, but we don't get down and fight those things. We just press forward, and I worked together really well with the Department of Transportation. I think they did a great job. I think my guys did a great job. But if they need more assets, more resources, more money, we'll give it to them.
Tomorrow, what's your number one thing to do tomorrow morning as far as the campaign goes?
Well, my number one job tomorrow is to go to work. So we've got some real challenges. We've got about 874 homeless people hitting the streets on June 1st because the Assembly hasn't funded homelessness as we've asked, and we're out of money, and we've got a crisis coming June 1st, and we need to deal with that. So I'm willing to, more than happy to work with the Assembly on solving this crisis, not of my making. I came up with a plan 3 years ago when I came into office that would deal with that. Boy, I wish right now we had a shelter that would hold 1,000 people. We don't have that, so now, again, the public's going to have to pay the price for poor planning and for poor financing and poor support of a rational homeless plan that we came into office with. So it is what it is. That's politics. We'll press on, put a smile on our face, and go to work in the morning.
And so tomorrow, saying this is day one again, essentially, of this campaign, and that
Could you say it again?
saying that June 1st is the deadline coming for this homeless crisis to begin very open on the streets. What's your plan moving forward to help with the homeless crisis?
Well, we need to create shelter space. Now we are doing.
I guess, how do you do that?
What's that?
How do you do that?
You bring up the shelter that I'm paying $5,000 a month to store in Tacoma, and we stand it up on the footings that are half poured. You got to remember this: the Assembly stopped a construction project in the middle of a concrete pour. And did we make a mistake? Yes, we did. Within, I think, less than a week, we found out what the mistake was, and on the Assembly floor, we admitted to those mistakes, which is okay. And that mistake is commonly made in this CMGC process. And it says, now let's carry on and get this thing, the building we'd already paid for and already funded to the tune of $2.8 million. Why would it not go forward? I mean, someone's got to tell me that. All right, yeah, we made a mistake in the funding, in the sequence of funding requests. Why would the project not go forward? We'd already paid for the building. We own it. The Assembly signed off on the purchase of the building.
They seem unwilling to do that moving forward. So how do you make your vision happen?
We just keep presenting the same vision to them. We're willing to adapt. We shrunk the size of the project based on their demands. But at the end of the day, now the city's going to pay the price for the lack of forethought, the lack of vision on the part of the Assembly. We provided them the vision. We provided them two plans because they didn't like the first plan. We provided another plan. They said there was no plan. There was. So it is what it is. Now it's election night. We'll watch the numbers come in over the next several days, see what happens. Folks like Eagle River haven't been counted yet because those boxes are still probably en route to Vote Central. So this will take a few days to iron itself out. I don't think there's going to be a 45% plus one winner, and so it means we're back to a runoff.
Thank you so much for your time tonight.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mike, back to you.
All right, Rebecca Palsha with the incumbent in this race, Mayor Dave Bronson. Rebecca, it seems the impression I got from your interview was that the mayor seems pretty calm about the results, even though he's in second place at this point. Were you able to hear me? I was saying it seems
I definitely
like...
did, Mike. Absolutely, you're absolutely correct, Mike. The second we walked into this campaign, Mayor Bronson was giving a speech about how this is expected to go into a runoff. So everyone has really come into this night not expecting to find answers, but to really see who are the top two who are moving forward.
All right, thanks so much, Rebecca. We'll be seeing you back at 10 o'clock as our election night coverage continues. Thanks so much for the update. All right, we're going to go over now to Beth Verge, who's at Suzanne LaFrance election night event. And Beth, if you can hear me okay, what's the mood there? They've got to be pretty happy to be in first place at this point.
Yeah, I'm going to presume that you can hear me as well, Mike. We're at Willowa in downtown Anchorage, and this is where Suzanne LaFrance and her campaign and some of her friends and family are here, not necessarily celebrating just yet. I did talk to one of the campaign spokespersons just before those results dropped, and they were confident. They said that Suzanne was feeling confident as well, just kind of talking about some of the work that had been put in not only in months past, but even in the last few days. He had said that about 50 people were campaigning on Saturday and throughout the weekend, and then we talked a little bit about those thousands of calls that they made yesterday, the sign waving, that kind of thing, and that continued into today, starting this morning and moving into tonight as some of those last ballots are still being brought, not to polling places, but perhaps to the post office if you are needing those postmarked still. But yeah, here at Willowa, pretty light mood, right? It's nice, of course, to be in first place, I imagine, for any of these candidates. But to your point and to your discussion with Rebecca at the end for a minute or two there, you know, these are unofficial results, and this is just a portion of those ballots that will be counted. And so I can say I feel as though Suzanne is still likely feeling confident. That was the message from her spokesperson. Again, talking about some of that work that had been put in and looking forward to seeing these results continue to roll in. But this is a very slim margin by which Suzanne LaFrance is leading tonight, only about 1.29%, I believe, over Mayor Dave Bronson's 35% or so. And that's barely, you know, that's not even 1,000 votes at this hour. And so we are definitely watching carefully. It's a close race at the front. And remember that margin that we talk about for the runoff election as well. That's going to be something to keep an eye on. Now, crowd is kind of gathering behind me. As you can see, Tyler is behind the camera for us. We're going to move just a little bit forward so that you can see, but they're going to start speaking here soon. And you can kind of hear the energy building up here. So I'm going to let her take this over and send it back to you, Mike, for now.
All right, Beth Verge at Suzanne LaFrance election night headquarters. Beth, is she about to speak to the crowd there? All right, we'll try to check back in with Beth in just a few minutes at Suzanne LaFrance election night headquarters. Bill Popp is running third in this race tonight. Again, very early results. For the next couple of weeks, we're going to be getting more numbers in, so these results could very well change. Bill Popp running third at this point. We're going to go to Joe Cadotte, who is with Bill Popp right now, to get his perspective on these numbers. Joe?
Yeah, I'm with former Anchorage Economic Development Corporation President and CEO Bill Popp at his campaign headquarters near Russian Jack Park. And Bill, how are you feeling about the results that we're seeing preliminarily here tonight?
Well, we're feeling good, but we need to hope for more. And so we're going to continue to watch the results here over the next few days. I know that the clerk is noting that it's going to take through Friday to get today's results pretty much sorted out, as well as other ballots that are coming in. We want to watch those numbers, but we had hoped for a stronger initial vote, and not conceding yet, but we're definitely going to be keeping an eye on it here and weighing what we're going to do next.
Are you surprised or satisfied with the numbers so far?
I'm satisfied in the sense that it definitely is an endorsement of the fact that we ran a campaign that people were interested in. We were definitely not, down in the single-digit zone, which is one of the things that we work very hard not to be in. And we think that our numbers will probably improve over the next few days based on trending that we'd seen. So we're aspiring to some higher numbers, but it's not what we had hoped for on the opening night.
Not stepping down yet?
Not quite yet, no.
And I'm sure you've been asked this, but is there any candidate who you'd think about endorsing if we do see two front runners?
First, I want to see the numbers, and I want to understand them a little bit better, and then there'll probably be some conversations that'll take place, but not ready to endorse yet either.
And have you been in contact with the other campaigns tonight?
Not tonight, no.
Got it. Anything else you want to say about the preliminary results, or how are you feeling right now?
Well, I'm feeling good that we're here, at the end of the general election, and we've run the race that we wanted to run. We've definitely kept it, above board. We've argued the issues. We've brought a lot of things forward. We've definitely pushed candidates in the race to focus on things that we felt were important that were not being discussed in the early days of the race. And that, to me, does my heart good, because we've got to be thinking about the future of the city and not just the issues of today. And I think that there is a growing sense that we've got to be able to do more than just a couple of things at a time. We're going to have to be multitaskers in the coming years if we're going to get our city back on track.
All right, I'm here with Bill Popp, the former president and CEO of the Anchorage Economic Development Corporation. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
All right, back to you, Mike.
Okay.
All right, thanks so much, Joe. Appreciate the update and chatting with Bill Popp. Lex Yoverton is with Chris Tuck's campaign tonight. Let's pop over to her. Lex, if you can hear me okay, what's Chris Tuck's reaction to these numbers tonight?
Yeah, we're here with former state lawmaker Chris Tuck, and we're here with his whole campaign here at a Mexican restaurant in Midtown. Chris, can you tell me a little bit about how you're feeling right now? How are you feeling about the numbers? How's your day going?
Well, campaigns are always exciting, win or lose. It's always super exciting to get down to this day, where you hear rumors and numbers and you hear people's opinions and everything else, and here's where it all comes together. And so, no, I feel good. I'm really proud of the people that came together on the ideas that we have. I'm very proud of the dialogues that we had amongst the candidates, because whoever becomes mayor from here on out will have a plethora of ideas that they can work from.
Yeah, absolutely. You have a huge table here of supporters with you, your campaign, and is there any message you'd want to say to people out there who are voting for you, supporting you? Obviously, these are just early numbers so far.
Well, don't get discouraged. Stay involved by voicing your opinion and having those productive dialogues. That's how we change things in our community. And so keep striving to make community efforts succeed.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've been running around town today. You've been encouraging people to go to the polls, encouraging people to vote, encouraging, sign waving, stuff like that. How do you feel about all the people who have come out to support you today?
Well, it's that sense of community, right? We're coming out of the COVID days where people are still trying to get out of their homes, and that's what we want to do. Is we want to find good reasons, and politics is a good reason, campaigns are good reasons for people to come out of their homes and get together. It's cheap oftentimes, and you don't have to spend a whole lot of money. It's just basically coming together. So it's good. It's a good feeling. One of the things I like most about Anchorage is its people, and the more people we get together, the more fun it is.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, former state lawmaker Chris Tuck. Back to you, Mike.
All right, Lex, thanks so much. Let's go back to Suzanne LaFrance headquarters. Suzanne just took the podium.
And while that means there's a lot of work to do, I want to take a minute to say thank you and to talk a little bit about the last few days from my perspective. On Saturday, I started off at campaign headquarters, and there were 50 volunteers there who went out and knocked doors. And then yesterday, after sign waving, a bunch of volunteers came to headquarters and made 9,000 phone calls. Yeah, that's pretty amazing. And then today, after sign waving at 7:30 in the morning, more people made phone calls. And I don't have the number yet on those, but I know that in the past week, less than a week, we have made over 20,000 phone calls to people to get the vote out and get the message out. And I want to thank each and every one of you. Those of you who have donated to the campaign, those of you who have built signs, delivered signs, repaired signs, knocked on doors, texted, had conversations with people to get the word out. Without your help and support, without your tremendous work, we would not be here at this moment right now, heading into a runoff. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you all so very, very much. And I want to just say I've got a few family members here. My mom is here. My brother Dennis visiting from LA. My brother Roger is here too.
All right, that's Suzanne LaFrance talking to her supporters at her election night headquarters at a restaurant in downtown Anchorage. We'll be hearing more from Suzanne and Beth Verge, who's at her headquarters tonight, coming up in our 10 o'clock newscast. Let's check out those results again for you. These are the first numbers we have, and again, they're going to be counting ballots for the next at least week and a half, and we won't be seeing final results until April 16th. That's when the final unofficial count will be. But again, Suzanne LaFrance talking to her supporters tonight. And here's how things are shaping up in this first round of balloting that have been counted. And we do want to point out, as Mayor Bronson pointed out, that a lot of the ballots from the Chugach-Eagle River area probably won't or not included in this count today. The elections department for the city telling us late this afternoon that they included in this count were ballots that they had received and counted up through this morning. But that means the bulk of today and this evening, those ballots have not been factored into these numbers. But Suzanne LaFrance in first place with the first round of voting with 36%, Dave Bronson at 34%, and Bill Popp at 17%. There are some other races on the ballot tonight, and we're going to show those to you now. Let's see some of the other candidates for mayor. These are some of the lesser known candidates bringing in very small numbers tonight, as you can see. So that's why we've been focusing on what we've described as the four major candidates. Let's go to the school board races now. Incumbent Pat Higgins being challenged by Kay Schuster, and Higgins, at least in this first round, is ahead with 55 to 45. This is Anchorage School Board seat F. Angela Frank far behind in this first round to incumbent Dora Wilson. Anchorage School Board seat G, the incumbent there is Carl Jacobs. Chelsea Poland is the challenger, 57 to 42 at this point. Several propositions on the ballot. Prop 1 is $62 million for the Anchorage School District, and that has a lead of 51 to 48 at this point. Proposition 2 would give the Assembly the authority to give confirmation power to the Anchorage Assembly for the Muni's Chief Medical Officer. This has been a point of contention between Mayor Bronson and the Assembly. The yes votes leading tonight, 55 to 44. Prop 3 is for road and storm drainage improvements, $47.1 million. That's leading at this point, 64 to 35%. Prop number 4 is for parks and rec improvements, $4.3 million. That's leading quite commandingly right now with 58% of the vote. Proposition 5 is $1.5 million for APD, and that is also leading 59 to 40%. Proposition 6 is for public safety and transit bonds, totaling $4.5 million. That's 60% to 39%, with the yeses having the lead at this point. Proposition 7, a bit of an unusual one. This is $4.1 million for improvements to cemeteries around the area, and the no votes are leading at this point, 55 to 44%. And again, here's one of the more interesting and possibly contentious propositions on this ballot. The Muni wants to borrow $5 million to build several public restrooms around the Anchorage area. The no votes with a commanding lead of 61% to 38% at this point. And the final proposition, Prop 9, is a $4 million bond to improve access to Chugach State Park, especially up in the Glen Alps area. And that is leading at this point with 56 to 43% of the results. And again, I've mentioned this a couple of times. We do want to point this out that, again, these are very preliminary numbers. This is a vote by mail election, so it's kind of a slow motion vote count over the next several days. The results you're seeing tonight are from the ballots they've received up through this morning, and they've had a chance to count, which means a lot of the ballots that were cast today or votes that were mailed in that may still be in the U.S. Postal Service system and haven't arrived yet, those are going to be counted over the next several days. And that schedule is, according to Muni officials, what they've told us, that they're going to be counting ballots every day for the remainder of this week, and then next week they'll be counting on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. So when will we know who's winning this election? Well, the final unofficial count, we're told, will be finalized on April 16th. The results become official on April 23rd. So how many ballots are we talking about here? Well, they gave us some figures this afternoon. 208,079 ballots were mailed out for this election. About 45,000 were in the results tonight. and they had received 51,234 as of this morning, which means they still have ballots that they've received, but they haven't counted yet. So again, we do want to stress these numbers are likely to change, and I think it's a fair guess that in the mayor's race we could see a tightening. It's hard to tell at this point, but it does look like at this point it's going to be a runoff. To win outright, you have to get 45% of the vote plus one, and none of the candidates are expecting any of the candidates to reach that threshold. So at this point, it looks like it's going to be a runoff, more than likely, between Suzanne LaFrance and incumbent Dave Bronson. All right, we're continuing to follow this election tonight. Those are the initial numbers. You've heard the initial reactions from the candidates. Be sure to check out more information we have for you on alaskasnewssource.com. And also join us for our newscast coming up at 10 o'clock tonight. We'll be going back out to our team of reporters and photojournalists out in the field and hearing more from the candidates. And of course, we will be keeping you up to date on all of these numbers as they are counted and changing possibly during the next several days. So thanks for joining us this evening. And we hope you went out and voted today, and we will certainly keep you updated with the results as they come in. So thanks again for joining us, and we hope you have a great night.